The gentleman's time has expired. The chair now recognizes the gentle lady from Missouri, Ms. Wagner, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our panel for appearing today to answer questions for us, but more importantly, to answer questions for the American people and shed some light, some transparency on what actually happened with this money transfer to Iran. Unmarked cash in foreign currencies strapped on wooden pallets and loaded onto a cargo airplane to be sent to a recognized state sponsor of terror. This seems more like a scene out of a made-for-TV movie than actual real-life U.S. policy. And as an Army mom whose son is an active duty infantry officer and as a former United States ambassador, I just have to say I am very concerned with the appearance of our government paying ransoms for captured prisoners and further, in future, endangering our other soldiers and diplomats abroad. I'd like to reference a quote from White House Press Secretary Josh Ernst from earlier August as to why the U.S. made this settlement payment so quickly, to which he said, "The Iranians," and I quote, "were eager to try to address the legitimate concerns of the Iranian people about the state of the Iranian economy." Is it the opinion of the State Department or the Treasury Department that this money transfer would be used for the Iranian economy? Mr. Wagner.
Congresswoman, first let me say thank you for the service of your son, and thank you for your service. We spend our days at the State Department, I know, as well as the Treasury and the Justice Department, doing our best to advance the U.S. interests and doing our best to protect our men and women overseas, and we are grateful for their service. With respect to your question, this was a situation, as I said, where the timing was related to the various pieces of business that we were trying to get done.
Did you believe that it was going to help the Iranian economy, either state or Treasury?
As I said, it is our assessment that the vast majority of the funds that they've received have been going to.
What assurances were you giving, sir?
Even if I had gotten assurances from the Iranians, you would not believe those assurances, nor would I.
Precisely. Let me move on. I'm reclaiming my time. I have a lot of questions in a short amount of time. We have since seen that Iran's latest year budget provides for an additional, guess what, $1.7 billion, the same amount transferred by this administration to the military establishment to spend as it wishes in Iran. Ms. Grosz, why did the White House think that this money would be used for the economy when Iran ended up using it for their military?
Congresswoman, I'm sorry, that's way out of my league, and I'm not in a position to decide that. My expertise really involves litigation of these claims at the tribunal and determining a settlement.
Let me ask a more relevant question. How do we know that this $1.7 billion increase did not come as a direct result of the cash transfer from the U.S.?
Congresswoman, the press report that you're referring to is one that we have reviewed and had our Persian translators review, and we believe that it is inaccurate.
National Security Advisor Susan Rice recently admitted that some of the $150 billion that Iran will receive in sanctions relief from the Iran nuclear agreement would, quote, support international terrorism. Mr. Bachmeier, what assurances do we have that this settlement money will not end up funding terror proxies, units like Hezbollah, considering that they receive support from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps?
As I've mentioned, Congresswoman, we have serious concerns with Iran's problematic behaviors, including those that you've just referenced, their support for terrorism, their support for proxy groups. We have a variety of tools that we use to counter those activities.
Well, let's talk about those. Does paying Iran in all cash make it more riskier than the money could end up in supporting terrorism?
Congressman, I can't speak to the risk on that, but what I can say is that this settlement was made based on its own merits.
Well, if this settlement, let's say, funding does in fact end up promoting terrorism, what actions could the U.S. take to punish Iran for its behavior?
We have a variety of tools, through sanctions, through other means that we can use to enforce our sanctions against Iran. These include authorities that go against individuals and entities like the IRGC, the Quds Force, and those that are involved in terrorism. That includes activities that are operational in nature that we use.
I'm running out of time. Ms. Grosz, what incentive or gain did the U.S. receive in return for structuring the payment so favorably in cash to Iran?
I'm not aware. I know that this settlement was in the interest of the United States.
Mr. Ahern, did Iran insist that the settlement money be delivered in cash? We're going to try one more time at this.
Ma'am, I wasn't part of the negotiations. I can't speak to that. What I can say is that my understanding is that settling this claim at
When was
this
it
time
agreed upon
in this
that it would be
manner
cash?
saved the United States government potentially from paying billions of dollars more to Iran.
My time's expired. I appreciate the indulgence of the chair. I have many more questions, and I will submit them for the record. Thank you, Mr.
The
Chairman.
gentlelady's time has expired.